Come all ye people, come and praise your Maker. Come all ye people, come and praise your Maker. Come all ye people, come and praise your Maker. Come now and worship the Lord. Ouya, ouya imose, tina mate mwari. Ouya imose, tina mate mwari. Ouya imose, tina mate mwari. Ouya imose, we know. Come all ye people. Come all ye people, come and get your table. Come all ye people, come and sit at your table. Come all ye people, come and sit at your table. Come now and worship the Lord. Come all ye people, come and praise your Maker. Come all ye people, come and praise your Maker. Come all ye people, come and praise your Maker. Come now and worship the Lord. Ouya imose, tina mate mwari. Ouya imose, tina mate mwari. Ouya imose, tina mate mwari. Ouya imose, we know. Come on, you people, to your tables. Come on, you people, come and praise your Maker. Come on, you people, come and praise your Maker. Come on, you people, come and praise your Maker. Come now and worship the Lord. Ouya imose, tina mate mwari. Ouya imose, tina mate mwari. Ouya imose, tina mate mwari. Ouya imose, we know. Come all ye people, come and praise your Maker. Come all ye people, come and praise your Maker. Come all ye people, come and praise your Maker. Come now and worship the Lord. Come to your tables, come all ye people, come and get to your table. Come all ye people, come and get at your table. Come all ye people, come and get at your table. Come now and worship the Lord. Yeah. Come to your tables. Okay, do 13. Oh, let the power again?
Sure.
Oh, let the power. Like 13. 13, folks. Oh, let the power fall on me, my God. Let the power fall on me. Oh, let the power from heaven fall on me. Let the power fall on me. For we want justice, for we want justice and truth and love, my God. We want justice and truth and love. Oh, we want justice and truth and love, my God. We want justice and truth and love. Oh, let the power fall on me, my God. Let the power fall on me. Oh, let the power from heaven fall on me. Let the power fall on. Come to your tables, for we want justice and truth and love, my God. We want justice and truth and love. For we want justice and truth and love, my God. We want justice and truth and love. One more time. Oh, let the power fall on me, my God. Let the power fall on me. Oh, let the power from heaven fall on me. Let the power fall on me. Maybe one more time. Oh, let the power fall on me, my God. Let the power fall on me. Oh, let the power from heaven fall on me. Let the power fall on me. Are we ready?
No, I did not get the new one.
So, friends, we are ready to roll. So I would invite you, please, to find your place at your table. The sooner we get started, the sooner we will finish the business, the sooner we will worship, the sooner then you can celebrate in whatever way feels right to your heart or to your tired body. Now, it is the complete thing. There's one on each.
One on each table. They just didn't have enough, but there's one email that
Okay. Yeah. And it's ready to be scrolled? Could we call Ruth Denton to the front, please, over with the worship folk here? Ruth Denton, we're asking for you to be here. And I am asking for everybody else to come together.
No, I'm going to sort out my music here. Thank you.
And I ask you, when you find yourself at your table, grab either your prayer fish or perhaps the gift of tobacco that you received, or maybe both. A sense of the balance, being rooted to land, to water, rooted in the Spirit of Jesus Christ. And we come together to do this last bit of work and then to give praise to God and to install our new moderator as an expression of our thanks and our commitment. So find your place. And let's move into some silence, please. So, deep breath. And I'd invite us into a moment of prayer. Holy God, we have feasted well at the table, good food, good conversation, a recognition of good work done. Although we may have varied opinions, and we are a people of diverse understandings, yet we know ourselves to be held in the one body of Christ, your body. And for this we are so grateful. Help us now in this time of final discernment and decision-making to be open to the touch of your Spirit. And then when the work is done, when the burden is lifted, we will come unto you, you who call us into abundant life. And we will give praise and rejoice and worship through the power and the love of Jesus Christ. Amen. Okay, folks, you have been emailed to you, if you are receiving your documents, the completed document, the new, I'm not sure what we're calling, General Council 42 CR 1 and onwards. There is one hard copy on every table, and we are going to have it up on the screens in a moment, and we will be able to scroll down. What you have in your hands is the transcription from the business table of the entire 5 days' work, or 6 days, I've lost track, of crafting our proposals and coming to agreement on what's in, what's out, what needs to be added, what gets subtracted. So I'm in a moment going to give you 5 minutes in table group to look this through, and I am going to propose that we take it as an omnibus motion, that we are simply going to say, we've been in proposal, I will move these, ask for a seconder, well, I will ask for a mover and a seconder, and then it'll be before us, and then we'll vote on the whole package. If for any reason there are some folk who feel they want to pull out one of these recommendations and have it dealt with separately, then we will test the will of the court to see if that's got some real support or happens to be only the opinion of one particular person or two, in which case we would ask you to live with the will of the majority. But there will be the freedom to take them out and go through one at a time if that is your desire. My hope is that we can do it all. Now, I'm watching over at microphone 2, someone jumping.
I thought that might help. Kathy Lyman from London conference. We don't have it. Nobody at my table has it.
Nobody's got
Okay.
it. Okay.
Are there
Okay,
no...
I'm hearing somebody say nobody at any table.
Okay, hold up. Business table? Okay, if your table does not have it, will 2 or 3 people hold up their hands so that table...
None of them have it.
None of them have it?
I mean that it didn't get emailed to me.
What?
But it is on the website. The GC42 website does have it.
Yeah, so it's on the website.
But nobody got a hard copy or an email?
Are we not getting hard copies? So while we're sorting out what's happened to the hard copies that were to be on each table, I'm just going to point out that when you get it, and maybe whoever's got that would scroll down to page 9, because we've noticed with all the hard work and rushing, there was one small thing left out. So what page 9, what's called here GC42 CR4, the elimination of transfer and settlement. Because there was something taken out there. Okay, yeah. No, it's a different page 9, apparently. Okay. It's on page 9 with what I've got. So let me just look at where you are, whoever's scrolling. It's further down.
Further down.
Not
this
up.
way, this way, this way.
So we should get to a part that's called GC42 CR4. And when you get there, keep going, there. And we'll remember that in that first paragraph, the decision today was to take out the reference to the conference settlement committee. So those last 4 words in the first paragraph there should be crossed out. And our apologies for something missed in the work that was done this afternoon.
So,
She might have.
business committee table is the only copy we have now on the screen, or you can get it on the website. Are there any hard copies at all? The website is now shut down, and you can't get to it.
Because everyone's trying to reach it at once.
It's too busy. Everybody's trying to get onto it. Thank you, Tim.
I was going to do the tin whistle on it.
Okay.
You know what? It's
Microphone 1.
Thank you, Moderator. Mint Marcellus, Bay of Quinte Conference. I'm speaking on behalf of people in this court who, in the past, because of public votes, have felt targeted, victimized, and marginalized, and would ask that we do this vote privately using our clickers.
Okay. Thank you. I see that seconded. I'm going to actually just do proposal. The suggestion is that we do the vote by clickers. Do you feel warm to that or cool to that? You're warm to that. We will be doing this by clickers, but we're going to have to, they're starting to come out.
Two per table. There's more.
Okay. Folks, I'm not sure how many copies now have arrived on the tables. 2 copies per table. Pardon me? 170 now are being distributed. There are more to come. I'm going to ask you to cuddle up to each other so that the person in the middle of a threesome has the paper and all 3 of you can look on together. You recall it early on in this, I said you sleep alone. Now I'm saying you get into groups of 3 so that you can share the print. And I'm going to give you several minutes now to do a quick read-through to make sure that what is in print is what you remember having passed. And I will also ask that it just sort of keep scrolling slowly at a nice speed like this, and when you get to the end, re-scroll it.
That's a good idea. People still have one thing that you'll be able to see. Do you have yours? So then you need to be here to see my music. Okay, gotcha. Oh no, it's absolutely fine with me. I'm just thinking of you.
Well, it's just that everybody was going at once, and I think that crashed it.
You know what? I'm going to transfer the markings from this one onto the new order of service. This is the new one. Yeah, I don't know what any of that is. Which one's that? Yeah. It is quite nice. I'm seeing it in El Salvador too. That's all the Spanish churches, I guess, especially when we come down. Yeah, it's pretty beautiful. Oh, you should join in with everyone. Tin whistle, flute, doesn't matter. Well, the thing is that the piano will drop out if I play, and that could be a problem. There is. Can you grab the cup? Oh. No, you might cut himself on the. I wouldn't give it to him. Okay, well.
Did we actually pass this one?
Yeah,
Reviewing
up to them.
periodically,
I'm
auditing themselves.
good with whatever
I guess we
happens.
did. Yeah,
Instead of being every year,
Yeah.
they left it blank.
Yeah, okay. No, this is looking good. No, oh, I'm sorry, yes, thank you. has been decided, has it not? Yep. Okay. Yep. Yep.
Moderator,
I recognize microphone 1.
Richard Hollingsworth, Bay of Quinte. On page 2, under faith communities, we need to have some sort of asterisk that after description there's going to be that paragraph from the Theology and Cultural Committee. There's nothing there to note. Back up.
So-
Oh,
sorry.
that's,
I saw it was there.
No.
Yes, the whole thing on the theological rationale is on page 10.
on page 10, sorry.
Richard, I think it is. The one thing we would point out is that on page 14, under the referral of proposals, so near the very end, we had originally said we were going to refer the London Youth and Young Adult representation to the General Secretary. My belief, we dealt with it? Or did we refer it to the... We dealt with it, so it comes out. You remember that we referred it to the General Council Executive. I've done a quick read through. That's the only small little typo that I've noticed. As you're reading this, I'm simply going to, on your behalf, give a huge, huge thank you to those of the business committee that whipped through all our material. I mean, it is an amazing task, actually. What this also means, because I think we're going to keep photocopying, so that you, if we do pass this, notice I said if, you will be able to take home with you as you leave the document that will provide invaluable information and resource so that you can begin talking as a commissioner to everybody back home and everybody you meet on the way. So friends, are we ready to proceed, or do you need a little more time to read through? Okay. Okay, I'm going to start recognizing a couple of mics, and I'm hoping that they are sort of informational or clarification. Mic 2.
Kathy Lyman from London. Again, on page 14, we actually dealt with and passed the London 5 youth and young adults.
We've already mentioned that, and
Okay,
I
thank you.
spoke to that, and we've taken it out. Thank you for the good clarification. Microphone 4.
Natalia Scott Sandy from Montreal Ottawa Conference. Just a point of clarification for page 4, 2 regional councils. We think there's an error. In a regional council would be, I think there's a regional decision-making body who's supposed to be inserted.
No, which section?
A description.
The A.
Regional
yes,
councils.
You're right.
And unnecessary oversight after support.
So I don't think we took it out. We took it out, we put it back in, we took it out. I think it was back in. Is there anybody who can help me with? I think it was, because we said it does make decisions. So we need a regional decision-making body, but then we added all the support work. So at this moment, we'll maybe do a double check. We'll put back in under 2A description, a regional council would be a decision-making body.
As well, after support, there's unnecessary oversight.
And that is already there, and provide necessary oversight is the end of the line.
Okay.
Thank you. So decision-making body was what was missing. Okay, microphone 5.
Darla Sloan, Montreal and Ottawa Conference, page 14 again, under referrals. It says at the very end that we're referring to, and I'm going to speak to the two that I know the best that are still in there, MNO 17 and MNO 18, that we're referring them to GC 42 CR1, which is chasing the spirit. And at least for those two proposals, they're much broader than chasing the spirit. I think there's a typo there. I don't think that's where we went, where the suggestion was that we should send them. And while they're there, I would just like to say that I would like to make a friendly suggestion that those two proposals get referred not to the General Secretary for implementation of a specific aspect, but for the executive, because particularly the principle of recognizing Francophones as an integral part of the church is much broader than just one aspect. It covers not the entire work that we're, not just one aspect of the work we're doing, but in fact it's an overarching principle.
Okay, my reading is you're absolutely right. It should be CR9. That was a typo. And I'm reluctant because my memory of the discussion, Darla, was that we went back and forth, General Counsel Executive, General Secretary, General Counsel Executive, and we ended on General Secretary as where we agreed, with the notion that that would mean deep involvement in conversation with the Francophone community and then bring reference to the General Counsel Executive. So I think I'm going to let that stand. And this is my memory, but I just checked with the General Secretary. You're right on the typo, and I think we're going to stick with that.
Yeah, I think that's correct, because I remember there was a question asked about whether we'd be involving the members of the executive, and I committed that we would. So I think what's being suggested is a reopening of the discussion held earlier today.
However, your point is taken. It will, in fact, be addressed. No, I don't know. It will involve the General Counsel Executive. Okay. Microphone 2.
Joyce Payne, London Conference. On page 9, under Elimination of Transfer and Settlement, for those of us in the Effective Leadership Project, the Conference Settlement Committee still needs to be in place.
Can I just interrupt? That was already addressed early by Nora Sanders, our General Secretary. You're right. That last phrase, and Conference Settled Committee, is out.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, it was an error that we touched on, but good to repeat it.
Thank you.
Number 3.
Jan Stevenson, Alberta and Northwest. In the interests of decency and good order, as the video flipped by, I saw this line about buying, selling, leasing, renovating repeated twice in a row.
Where are we?
I'm not sure where it is, but it's all about buying, selling, leasing, renovating. One of those lines is repeated. Watch for it.
Could we...
Or else I'm seeing double.
It's on page 5, someone says. Under Policy and Finance, thank you. The buying, selling is twice. This is on page 5 under the section Policy and Finance. Oh, it's 2 different provisions. They are not the same. So they stay as is. Microphone 5.
Adam Hanley from Hamilton Conference. Looking on page 15, proposal CR14, property and investments.
Yes.
I think we need to add M and O12 between Toronto 6 and Ham 7 to completely add the unfinished business related to property and sharing that came to the Partridge Berry Commission but didn't get finished.
So it should be M and O12.
So it's BC 12, M and O11, Toronto 6, M and O12, and Ham 7.
Oh, so add M and O12 to that. Are people aware? 15 under the GC C14 property investment, M and O12. Okay, thank you. Microphone 2, please.
John Hurst from Hamilton Conference. On page 14, GC 42, the second bullet is a duplicate of the 4th last bullet. The second bullet, just, sustainable, understandable, and fair, is a duplicate of The resultant method of assessment should be transparent, understandable, and fair. One of them should go.
I think this is as we passed it. I know it's almost the same, but the word just got into that first one. So I'm going to hold it and say, yes, there's no harm in repetition. It's just that extra word got in, so I'd rather leave it than take it out. Thank you, though, for pointing that out. Microphone 5, please.
Bill McCausland, Bay of Quinte. 2 points. First of all, on page 12, CR8 funding a new model, item number 6. It says to permit the council to use additional resources for regional purposes. It does not give specific access to assessment. And I wonder if the intent is that they still have assessment because of a carryover, or that there's going to be no assessment possibility for that level of governance.
I think this is what we passed, and I would rule that additional resources is the more inclusive term.
Okay, but does that include additional assessments if they need to? Because we've sort of said that assessments are going to be done by the denominational body, and in order to have access to do the work that they're doing within their region, they might decide they need extra assessment.
It doesn't speak to whether it's assessment or not, so it's not giving any power to assess because it simply refers to other resources.
Pardon?
Okay. So,
pardon? Sorry.
So my understanding from the General Secretary is that means they do not have power to assess extra from this. Do they have it elsewhere? You're, in a sense, reopening what we passed, but it's a valid question. I'm not sure how to proceed. I'm seeking some advice.
My recollection is that it is nowhere else. So that we need it here where they have including assessment would just be the...
Including extra assessment?
There was also talk today of having one assessment. So as I hear the suggestion, it reopens a discussion held earlier, which could happen.
Okay.
On
what are you
page
saying?
5.
Hold on.
Yes,
Doug,
it's already on page 5.
Go to
Sorry.
the mic if you have a point, please, that would help in this.
I was just told it's on page 5. Yes. Okay.
So what is on 5?
The second, that clears it up. It's already there in one other place. So that was
Okay.
the question that I had. I wanted to make sure it was there. The second question I have comes under page 18, item 3. Is there a reason why we're using the words first regular meeting of the 43rd Second General Council rather than meetings of the subsequent General Council?
I'm going to ask you.
Of any subsequent General Council. So that, for example, if perhaps there was felt the need to call this General Council back together again, perhaps it could be done electronically. And if this would give that the power to.
So we don't need additional authority to bring this council back together again. The reference on page 18 is to decisions that are required to be made by the next General Council. So it would need to be the 43rd if, in fact, we were doing it for that purpose. Because in the wording of the manual, when one council makes a decision, it's the next council that must approve the remit. So if we wanted to have an earlier approval of remit, it would have to be an advanced meeting or an initial part of the first meeting of the next General Council.
Microphone 1, procedural.
Thank you, Moderator. Fred Monteith, Business Coordinator. It would be helpful to the projection crew if people said what heading and page they were looking at, and it would be helpful if people could bring us on a note paper the change, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Microphone 2.
Judith Evenden, Bay of Quinte Conference. I'm on page 11 under the word structure. And it might be that I've just been married too long to a former English teacher. But my sense is we were staying with soft titles, and all of a sudden I'm seeing Office of Vocations, capital O, capital E, V, as if we've decided that's the name of it. And I'm not sure that was our intent.
My memory is that it was small letters when we passed it. So let's change it back to the small letters, please, so it's consistent with what we, not passed, what we agreed on. I'm trying to keep my language clear. Okay, microphone 3.
Oh, Gail
Gail.
Wensley, Saskatchewan Conference. I'm on page 15, under CR 14, Property and Investments. I think you can take out M&O 11 because you'll find it on page 16 under disposal of proposals.
Oh. So it's already covered twice, so we can take out M&O 11
I would believe so.
from this one or from the subsequent one?
I don't know.
I'll do it from the subsequent one because if it has any bearing on that particular issue, then that's a good place to see it in print.
What I would suspect is that M&O 11 was a typo and it should have been M&O 12.
Ah, it's a typo. Is that right?
I don't
somebody?
know.
We
I
don't
think that's
know.
right. I think it's clear that we don't need to say it twice. So let's take it out of the section under property investments and leave it in that longer list of other things that are to have no action taken.
Okay, thank you. Microphone 2.
Leanne Hogel, Synode de Montréal et Ottawa. On page 14, CR 10, I believe the fourth bullet is just a repetition of the preceding line, part of a sentence.
I don't. Is it?
Health of communities of faith, it's repeated there.
Oh. Okay, you're right.
It's a typo, eh? So what shows as the fourth bullet, and that's for the projectionists, we're under a heading that says GC 42 CR 10 method of assessment. And what shows us the fourth bullet is just a typo. It's because it's part of the bullet before.
Okay, so we are removing that second part, the fourth bullet, which is a typo repetition. Microphone 4. Microphone 4.
Carrie Copeman-Haynes from BC Conference. I want to go back to page 5, where my friend at this other microphone a while ago, under policy and finance, I'm concerned that it is not clear, given that the 5th bullet does include the phrase, and setting any additional regional assessment. It's not clear then that we're speaking with one voice, that we're only talking about one assessment. So I would either suggest, I wonder, how did we miss this? And maybe we changed something and forgot to go back and shift this one.
My memory, and I think what I would say is my ruling, is that we did choose to include it, and it addresses the question raised earlier. And I'm just thinking of my own presbytery, where there is the assessment from presbytery, and then we add on our own to do chaplaincy work. And so this extra would go that way. There'll be one national major assessment, and then there'd have to be agreement from whatever body. And it's in there, and we talked about it, and it's a little inconsistent, but I think I'm going to live with that rather than reopen. Thank you for catching it, though, because there it is. It's both a plus and a minus. Microphone 3.
I'd like to go to page 17 at the bottom. GC 42-CR17 remits and the waiving of the requirement for 24 months. I know that we mentioned that, and I thought that we were going to discuss it, but we didn't. And I would suggest, and I think I would want to test this, that the changes that we've made to the document are quite substantial. And so I don't know that the period of time leading up to here, leading up to GC 42, was discussing the document as it is, and therefore I would actually question the wisdom of waiving the 24-month requirement.
Okay. I'm going to ask the General Secretary to respond to that, because you're right, we didn't talk about it because we couldn't until everything had been summed up. Right. So this is a good time to talk about it.
Yes, it's right that it wasn't talked about. This was from the earlier stage when because there has been extensive consultation, but as you say, what's come out of General Counsel is a little bit different. We still might want to consider whether it still takes 2 years, because we have added in that process that's going to take a little bit of time before we can get the remits out in order to make certain determinations before they go out. So it will be quite tight to go a full 2 years following that and have it ready for General Counsel. So I guess what I would say about that, if this stays in the way it is, and I agree it wasn't addressed earlier, it doesn't mean we would definitely do it shorter, but it gives a little bit of leeway if that first process takes a little bit longer, knowing that that first process will in itself involve consultation.
Yes?
So then I would look at page 18, which would be the next paragraph that talks about the advance date for the electronic meeting of the 43rd General Council, which makes that September 15th, which is basically 2 years from now. So if it's tight to get the 2 years worth of consultation or around the remits, I'm wondering if, like, why that?
Again, an excellent point, because from an earlier version. And I would just also point out, though, that, and it's an optimistic date, which I would think likely unrealistic, but it does say, or such other date named by the executive. And at this point, it's hard to say. My guess is likely it wouldn't be September, but would it be November? Would it be January? Would it be the following spring? I'm not sure. So it's the thought that the possibility, and September is not impossible, depending how that first stage went, but it would be the executive that would be naming the particular date.
And last,
Okay.
Moderator, last thing, then can I ask if we can test?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
So, Court, you've heard, we have not had a chance to talk about this. We're now asking the possibility of waiving the 24-month limit on the understanding that much study on this has already occurred. Yes, this document is substantially different, but many of the concepts have been already dealt with. The General Secretary is saying that perhaps we will be able to make the changes, particularly around regions and assessment, in time to get it out. Are we warm to allowing that flexibility and having these item 1 and 2 at the bottom of page 17 and at the top? We are warm to that. Thank you very much. Bill, I really appreciate you raising that so that there is clarity and that it's clear that it was just an oversight because we hadn't had the time to talk. Microphone 2.
David Whiting from London Conference. I'm on page 11, section CR7.
Yes?
And this is probably just a housekeeping issue, but in every other section, we took no further action on the corresponding CRTG item. So it should say there, take no further action on CRTG 5 in addition to the other ones.
Except that this was CRTG 5.
But even in the case where we had, in previous ones where we had the exact same thing, it is now called CR1 or CR2 or whatever, and so we're removing the other one.
Okay. Can you rule on that, please, Nora?
I have to trust you that we did that on the others, because certainly the one before was one that has significant change. So the other ones that were taken straight from the CRTG,
like Aboriginal
like
Ministry?
the first one.
Aboriginal
Yep.
Ministry,
Okay. Aboriginal Ministry had some change, though.
Oh, yep.
Like, so the very first one, yeah, okay. Let's just simply to say, yeah, take no action because it's now got a new title. Thank you for that.
Okay. So we will add at the bottom of page 11 and take no further action on CRTG 5. Okay. Are there any, microphone 2, please.
Janice Frame, Manitou Conference. Moderator, I'm concerned that on page 14 of our new document, there is to be no action taken on proposals, and they are listed, including M&O 11 and Manitou MTU 3, whereas in our sessional report, there was a very clear indication from the sessional committee that those two proposals in particular be considered when the task group looks at the funding model?
Well, help us again. We're not quite sure where you are.
Which proposals?
I'm looking at page 14 on our new document, CR10 method of assessment, and I'm comparing that with page 15 of the sessional report that has at the bottom of the page the sessional committee further notes a
Okay, I don't have
variety
my-
of concerns about assessment.
Hold on, we're just checking the sessional report. I don't have it.
Can you give me the page on the sessional? Sorry.
15.
Thank you very much. There's a whole paragraph that says the sessional committee further notes a variety of concerns were expressed through proposals named M&O 11, MTU 3, and they're referred to the task group, and awareness that the standard of a measurement will affect the behavior of the church. And my understanding is we did accept that. And are you referring to this, Ross? Okay, speak to it. Thank you.
Yes, Moderator. I am Ross Bartlett, Maritime Conference. We opted to take no further action in this location on those proposals, but we did refer them as references, as background material that could be of some use. So we are, in fact, taking no action on them, but we are not consigning them to oblivion.
Yep.
There's useful material to be used.
So my ruling would be that that paragraph goes back into the original document, into our new document. So that's page 14 at the bottom of the whole CR10 method of assessment. What was in the original sessional, which is refer for information to M&O 11, MTU 3, and the final line, awareness that the standard of measurement will affect the behavior of the church. Those are in now our new document.
Thank you.
That was just an omission and an oversight. Yeah. And it's not, and it is no longer a task group. So we'll tidy up the language, but those will be in for information. You know, this is the first time I've ever done a 400-person review of a document. We're doing well. Number 2.
Moderator Joey Dearborn from the Conference of Manitoba, Northwestern Ontario. I am on page 14 of the document. So first, under method of assessment, near the bottom where it says and take no action, London 5 is listed in that. And then when you're into the heading referral of proposals, London 5 is also mentioned there, though we did pass that as a separate motion outside of this document.
Yeah, so that's a good catch. So London 5 should be taken out as far as either the take no action areas, because we have in this body dealt with it and referred it to the executive.
Good catch, Joey. Friends. Oh, no, I don't see anybody else at the mic with more. Oh, mic 2.
Just one baby one.
Yep.
Page 5.
I'd far rather to catch them all now, baby or big.
Under policy and finance.
Yes?
Third from the bottom, that setting and managing annual budget, including revenue from the denominational assessment.
Denominational assessment. Thank you very much. That's on page 5, denominational.
So the word denominational replaces the word national, just for those that are trying to catch it there in the typing.
I'm seeing a lovely smile from our Bermudian right here in front of me. Now, number 4.
Kenji Marui, London Conference. If we are going to catch them all, I would like to point out that on page 12, at the bottom, proposal MNO 11 is mentioned to take no further action on, as well as page 14 and page 15. MNO 11 in particular is named as taking no action, and so that needs to be cleaned up then.
Tidied up. Somehow MNO 11 had a lot of traction when we didn't want to take action 3 different times.
And I'm also seeing page 5 mentions MNO 11, so that's a very...
Can I hold those as editorial cleanups? Okay, David.
David Hewitt, Executive Secretary, Maritime Conference. Staff support to the sessional committee. Respectfully, Moderator, they're all going to show up twice now in this revised document. The sessional committee, when it prepared its recommendations, put "having heard" at the beginning and listed a number of proposals that referenced the material that followed. And then, at the very end, listed the 65 proposals to take no further action on them. In this document, the "having heard" has been removed from the title, has been reinserted at the bottom as a "take no action," and duplicates the "take no action" that comes at the end. So they're all in there twice.
Okay.
So moderator, we may not need to go through them all, but simply if we agree that we don't need to take more action, no action more than once, that can be tidied up in the document.
Thank you. Are we agreed to that, folks? Show me your yellow or your cool. Okay, good. Thank you. Now, are there any other corrections that anybody sees? The question. I would like to test before we go to a vote. Are you warm to passing this as an omnibus and saying, oh, I see somebody at microphone 3. Hold on, folks. Microphone 3, I recognize you.
Martha Wood, Toronto Conference. Under on page 14 of your new document, it says the second last bullet under method of assessment says awareness that the standard, etc. When we put back in from our other sessional committee report that the sessional committee further notes, it also has the point awareness that the standard of measure.
Okay.
So it would be in there.
Because we reinserted the paragraph that had it, and instead it had gone up. Okay.
Should it only be in there once?
It should only be there once. So we'll trust that that's editorial, that the word is in twice, and we'll keep it in the main part. Then I see you as warm. I see only one blue. So I would wait. Somebody is at mic 2.
Yes, I'm sorry. Just a question about the funding for sending members to regional council.
Where are you, please?
I'm sorry. I'm on page, well, it's page 4 of the document, sessional report 4.
I want the new document, please.
And it's on page 3 of the new document. Participation in regional and denominational life. Second bullet, it says, electing members to serve on regional council with shared funding of the cost. And it's not my memory that we talked about cost at all. In the original sessional, all reference to costing was removed.
Now, I have no memory whatsoever, so I'm looking for wisdom from the court. Who else remembers this? We're at the bottom of, near the bottom of 3, the cost. Microphone 5.
Mint Marcellus, Bay of Quinte Conference. I remember when we put it back in because I was angry about it at the time, but I bend to the will of the court and it should be in there.
So you have a member in there, yes. And you have not.
4 originally crossed out bullet 2, funding the cost of sending representatives. During our discussions yesterday, we put it back in because I have a note here that says still in.
Okay. 2 memories, 1 memory, 3rd memory, it's in. Thank you very much, but thank you for raising it. Good to check our memories. So, I missed, so, no. With one, I would like to ask for a mover, and I'm actually going to recognize the person going to the mic. Hey, hey. Knew I'd see you again. Oh.
Mr. Moderator, surrounded by the members of the Comprehensive Review Task Group, Kenji Marui, Beth Symes, Vic Weeb, Russ Burns, Wilson Gonese, Lauren Hodson.
Could you pause for a moment? Beth has not had an opportunity to get there. Wherever you are, Beth. Are you here? Yes? So just pause.
And with grateful thanks to the members of the sessional committee, whose names I cannot list, but I would invite you to stand.
Please stand, sessional committee members. As able. Oh, Lord, my apologies. Apologies.
It gives me tremendous pleasure to move this motion.
The motion has been moved. Do I have a seconder? I'm going to recognize Larry Doyle as one of the co-chairs of the sessional committee to be the seconder of that. Friends, we now have a motion on the floor, an omnibus motion, moved and seconded. Are you ready to take the vote? Yes? Okay, and it's going to be a clicker vote, remember? So are the clickers in place? Quickly back to your places. I'm not sure you heard that. My favorite channel. So it's not Nora Sanders, it's Kathy Hamilton and Larry Doyle. There we are. And I want it on clicker form, please. Wait till the 30 seconds comes up, please. Okay, click away, please. Six, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dun, dun, dun. Give each other some hugs and high fives all around you and pass the peace with each other. Oh, my Lord. Sorry, that's you.
Mr. Moderator, could we have it on the screen again? Some of us would like to record the historic moment with the vote. Thank you.
95, 4, 1. Oh, and it even adds up. Hallelujah. Oh. Now, you have some motions on remits and stuff like that?
Mr. Moderator?
Where?
Number 1.
Thank you. Number 1.
Mr. Moderator, I hate to spoil the moment. It's Bill Stedman, Manitou Conference. I want to, on a point of order, I voted with the majority. I want to self-declare. but you carefully indicated early in this council that there would be no clapping, cheering. I raise this, moderator, as a serious point. I think the celebration is the process is done. There is so much relief, but I don't want my friends and colleagues, whoever they are, they're important people in our court, feeling that the applause was dismissing those 5% who either abstained or voted against. So I just want to assure them, and this court to assure them, that their contribution and their view is being honored. Thank you.
Bill, thank you so much, and amen. And please let that applause speak to we are diverse and there is space for disagreement. And my apologies for getting carried away. I'm a little tired, but amen to have that raised. I so appreciate that. Oh, I thought we were going to do the remits and all of that. Closing motion? Okay. Can you take over?
So I think we have the chair of the Moderators Advisory Committee here, and we were going to invite the chair, John Lawson, and other members of the Moderators Advisory Committee to come just to have a few words here on the stage. Where are they? Where's John? And Tim, I think we'd like you to come up too. Tim Stevenson, if you're in doubt as to which Tim. We're going to take just a small moment. You can say big thanks to the moderator later, but this is the time for the Moderators Advisory Committee to take a moment. So come on up, my friends. Come on, John, Martha, and here's Hannah. Where's Michael? And I'm not sure if Mary Frances is here or up working somewhere.
There you are. Looking so cash.
Friends, good evening. My name is John Lawson, and I was privileged to chair the Moderators Advisory Committee for Gary these last 3 years. We, as a committee, tried our best to walk with Gary, but it wasn't walking. We learned very on it was running. And, we were, at our first meeting, we had a gathering, and everyone said, Gary, this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. You got to really conserve your energy. But we did realize that we were talking to someone who I think has the DNA of one of those Kenyan marathon runners, that it can run at an incredible pace and just keep right on going the whole time and be with still a spring in his step when he enters this place. There's a number of people that I think that I want to say, Gary, that maybe there's someone who can keep up with you. Maybe there's someone that I can think that could actually maybe even best you with energy. And that person's standing right beside you, Tim. Tim was there running with you every step of the way. And he offered such wise counsel, such humor. that we would be really remiss as a Moderators Advisory Committee to realize that his wisdom and grace running together as a team, as a partner. I think we need to give Tim a... Yeah. On the Moderators Advisory Committee, we had 3 staff people. Sue Fortner, right here. Sue Fortner is our den mother. Are you going to get home from here because has she booked you a flight? Okay. Sue has been amazing. Nora, thank you.
for the wise counsel again and holding our feet to the fire that you have for us. And Mary Frances, I don't know if Mary Frances is around, the third person. You know, these staff, and I know that changes are coming, but we really I just want to lift up, this is a ministry that we are so thankful for. We also have Martha and Hannah and Michael, as well as Mary and Best, other members of the Moderators Advisory Committee. One last thing, if I could just say that when Jesus started off with his disciples, they were walking together, they were learning together, they worked together. And then at the end, he called them friends. And Gary, I feel like what's happened in our group is that we now call you a friend, and you've called us friends. We've journeyed with you. Thank you for that friendship. And my sense is, as you journeyed across the church, and maybe there's something up there that shows all the different places that Gary attended. You can zoom in on this. This is one of these Google Maps. And to see the number of places that you have visited, and it keeps going. Unbelievable. And those people now call you friends. Thank you, Gary, for your love, for your service, your dedication to this church, and your dedication in the way of Jesus Christ.
I don't even have a poem for the occasion. I simply want to say it has been a journey of joy. John, thank you for your assistance, your friendship, your leadership. Thank you to my advisory committee. Thank you to Sue, who has done so much to organize and make my life possible in the last 3 years. To Nora Sanders, while you've watched our teamship, our friendship, and the way we can get things done together, to all of you, to my spouse, Tim, without whom this would not have been possible. Whoops. To all of you who are got a betting pool on how many times the moderator's going to cry, I've sort of lost track, so I think you're all winners. 300. But what I want to say is maybe almost to steal a line from Etienne, to say, my beloved church, thank you. We have journeyed well together. The Spirit has led us and has held us. And sometimes it's felt like we've been chasing a Spirit that's so far ahead that we're not quite certain where the next turn in the road is, but we have never been abandoned. We are not alone. We are in God's world, this God who has created and is creating, who's come in Jesus Christ and who works in us and others by the Spirit, who will continue to do so. So be brave and be gentle with us all and with each other and with yourself. Thank you. Thank you all the way through. As my grandson says, thank you, and I love you to Pluto and back. Amen and blessings.
come, are you sending them some love, the stewards and the local arrangements team? Here they come. Okay, time out. Oh, I want you to meet Faith Marsh-McGush. How fun is that she's in the room? I know. Faith is going to pray a thank you on this team who have loved us, who have held us, who have made all of this possible, who have fed us and cared for us and traveled with us. For all of the work that you have done, we say thank you. Gracias. Merci. Let's pray.
Let us pray. Most gracious and merciful God, we give you thanks. Thanks for this church. Thanks for this gathering. Thanks for all those who offered hospitality. And thank you to all those who have received it. We ask now that you be with all of us, that there be safe travels and blessed rest. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, disperse. Go. Go in peace. I'll do the rest. Well, I'm going to say them for the worship gratitude. Yeah, all of that. I'm going to do. At the beginning.
Well, it gets too teary when we have so many thank yous, so we're going to go ahead and do the closing motions, and I won't be surprised if there's some other thank yous worked into the worship somehow tonight, because, you know, we have that way of when we're worshiping, we just think of all the things we're grateful for. So I think if we could have the closing procedural motion. Business table, is it this time? Are we at that point to put the closing procedural motion? Oh, sorry. No. But there was supposed to be, sorry, before the closing procedural motion, we had talked about using the clickers to say out of 10, and because we couldn't limit it to 10, we said 9 plus 1 where you can put in other. And let's put that one up on the screen. Do we have that up ready to go up on the screen? And then when the thing comes up, you're going to be invited, you with clickers, just to name what are your top 3. This is not a vote. This is just kind of a fun thing, but it'll help the executive when they come to having to set priorities to get a sense from this meeting, knowing that everything you've done is important. Everything is important, but just to get a sense, kind of fun to see what are the ones that you're going to name as most important, and knowing that we couldn't list everything. If yours isn't on there, you can click 0, I guess, click 0, and then send an email to Diane Bossman. She is the wonderful person who volunteered to receive those messages, and she'll organize them, and we'll get a sense of what are the other things that you thought were most important that aren't on this list.
No, you get to click 3. No, I think my understanding is you get to click 3 numbers. Don't click yet till that 30-seconder comes up. But you can look at that and click 3. You're going to get 3 numbers to click. After that, your clicker won't respond much. And remember, if it's not, your love is not up there, the 0 and send an email. And that will be information and general guidance to the General Council Executive, along with, you might remember we'd asked senior staff and also the executive secretaries and members of the past General Council Executive just to take notes and get a feel for what they sense are priorities.
But if the question was technical, apparently on this vote, you can vote for 3 things. So you're not limited to 1. We don't have to do it 3 times.
No, it's 1 time and you press 3 different buttons once that 30-second comes up.
Apparently, don't worry about the 30 seconds, but so does that mean they can start right now? They can start right now. Okay.
Wait, moderator?
Yes?
Russell Mitchell Walker, Saskatchewan Conference. I just wonder if we might consider the comprehensive review is a given as a priority, and so we choose 3 of the
Let's
others?
just go with what's there, Russell, because it's tough to change it, okay? So put 3, and, everybody's going to have different ones, so.
Well, may I?
Microphone 3.
Well, Emily Duggan, Maritime Conference. I just feel uncomfortable. I know this is a fun method of polling priorities, and I just feel uncomfortable with this type of method of prioritization because all of these issues have to do with our public witness and God's mission in the world and how we implement that mission and how we implement that work. And I think that a lot of these issues will have a lot of consideration to take in with the voice of our partners who are involved in this work, with the staff who will be implementing this work in their different program areas. And I feel like this is just a very reactionary kind of way of prioritizing the work when I feel like I want to give more time into considering where we place our priorities. And I'd ask that maybe we could offer evaluation sent in at a later time or receive feedback from the
Okay,
staff.
I'm going to interrupt, and I'm going to rule we're going to do this. I hear what you're saying. This is a fun way. This is not making decisions. It is one small bit that will go with the evaluations. It will go with the reflections of folk who have been here, the staff, our global partners. It will be dealt with by General Council Executive. And the reality is, as we said early on, we can do anything, but we can't do everything. So the way priorities get set, unless we give some generalized indication somehow, is that then they happen willy-nilly. So this is a fun way. You're right. And you are welcome to write in your priorities at a later date. And if you do not feel comfortable participating, by all means, so be it. And I respect that.
But yeah, people are more than welcome if they want to say more to send that in. Send it to me or send it to Diane, because all those things are different threads of what will be part of the mix. This is just one of the little tools.
I want to say one more response. There's absolutely no question, Emily, that all of those are central and important. But the reality is our resources and staff capacity mean that we will put different emphasis. And this is just one way of trying to read the wider court. Can you show us that again?
So that response came up too fast. I think people were waiting until they got it. So take that response down. Let's do it again, because I think people were waiting till that discussion had taken place.
Okay,
right?
do not click at all at this moment. Clicker folk, void the past. That can go in so many ways. Do not go there, Aaron. Too much information. So, clicker folk, over there resetting it, and when we see it on the screen, and it is just simply a way of getting any response from this body that gives sort of a little straw vote in a fun way. Wait, I want to say, okay, wait, they're going to get the 30-second up, so that's the way we know how to work. No, that's not the 30-second. No. I know. And I'm the guy that asked for the clickers, so I'm on my head, so be it. So there they are, and we're waiting for the 30-seconder. No. Okay. Now everybody click. So there it is, folks. If you wanted to take a little note, it doesn't say anything other than you get a little sense of where we are. And you'll notice a number of people put in the other, and we'll be receiving emails. And I just need to remark for myself to see where our emphasis on reconciliation and right relations. And they're all important issues. Thank you very much, Court. Maybe just indulging me.
So I think we have our friend in court up here, moderator, to give a final report.
So Roy, to the podium. And Roy said this is going to be not long.
Not long. And while I'm just saying a few words on the role, R-O-L-L, of counsel, I would ask that the two other friends in court join me up here, please. As some of you know, I'm an epidemiologist by profession, and therefore, part of my work is the demographics of population. But I'm not going to bore you this evening with a whole load of demographics of this population, which is what I've been given to give you. But firstly, I must thank Diane Bosman, who helped put the numbers together, and the full report that I was going to give will be put on the General Counsel website. But just very quickly, a few highlights. We had 348 commissioners present out of a maximum of 356 eligible. I would ask you to pray for those 8 people who were unable to join us for whatever reason. There was 55 commissioners identified as under 30. That's the highest percentage we've had. It comes to 16% of this court. In 2012, it was 14%. The General Counsel, the 40th before that, it was 12%, and the 39th, it was 10%. So it's slowly climbing. In fact, I looked up on Stats Canada, and if it was going to be rated to the Canadian population, it should be 20%. There has been 693 people present in the court, for this meeting. We had 88 registered visitors, 7 former moderators, 25 invited guests, and 19 non-voting youth delegates added to the commissioners. The important thing is the number of volunteers that have been involved. We came up with 154. You've already seen the local arrangements committee and stewards, musicians, chaplains, first aiders, transport, gophers, youth forum leaders, registration and information, and many, many more roles. Not even adding in the numerous people who sewed bags, knitted dishcloths, made prayer fish, and supported this council in other ways all across the conference and the church beyond. I've got all sorts of statistics about live streaming and so on. Some of them are probably coming up on the screen. But we had a social reach. I'll leave you with us having a social media reach of 75,000 people. Now, quickly switching over to our last few announcements, and I'm going to ask my two colleagues to be quick, but I have 2 or 3 myself. First of all, I want to remind people to get their phones and devices from the charging stations before worship starts. Secondly, take your clicker to the left-hand charging station and where there is a bag to collect them all together. Thirdly, the new General Council Executive will meet tomorrow morning at 8:30 in meeting room 2 upstairs. And I know you have 1 or 2, but let's make it short, guys.
Just that if Deb Bowman is here, is Deb Bowman in the court? Yeah. Yesterday, Deb and her husband Bob celebrated 38 years of marriage.
She was quick. He said to be quick, I can't talk any faster than I already do. How's it going?
Best kind.
Right on. I just got a couple of things from local arrangements. Is that now, I don't think I got the right number because I didn't check in for the last hour and a half, but the sale of the dishcloths was $512, and I think there's still a few left. We'll even give you a bigger discount. 5 for $5. And there was $236, I think, raised for the planting of trees, so that's over 1,000 trees will be planted. And the knitting project, the best that I can count so far, well, I brought with me 100 squares that were given to me before I came here who wanted to be a part of it from our other congregations, and 2 blankets already completed. And knit here at council, at my last count, and I may have missed a few because they may have dropped into the basket that I wasn't aware of, was 251 squares. I figure if you can knit as fast as I can, that's about 700 hours of very contemplative listening. So thank you, all of those who helped, and thank you, each of our guests. And please come back again, but not tomorrow. God love you all.
Just to say thank you from the 3 of us. We've really had a good time. Thanks so much.
So now maybe it's time to put those closing motions up in front of us, and that, I believe, is our last piece of work to do before we move to worship. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll just say that a big part of this is to authorize the executive and the sub-executive to do work that needs to be done prior to general councils. The interim sub-executive is till a sub-executive is formally appointed, and that's that long first part. And then you'll be authorizing the executive. And then, of course, there's a referral of the business that we didn't get to, and some of those were from commissions, some were from plenary. And I don't think we repeated here the ones that you've already referred under the comprehensive review work. Trying not to repeat. And then the directions about preparation of remits, preparation for the 43rd General Council, and I'll just say, as Kathy did, but not tomorrow. Of course, the digest of minutes. Thank you, Sue. The authority for changes in the manual, publication of the record and proceedings, and then the adjournment, which would come formally at the close of worship tonight. So that is the closing motion I place before you, and I guess, moderator, we need a seconder. Or is Roy seconding that?
Roy is seconding that. Thank you. So, no, we're going to just, will you show your cards? All in favor? Show those lovely pink cards. Any opposed? Okay, it's all passed. Thank you. So you can tidy, now we're going to have 10 minutes, and then we're going to begin worship. So 10 minutes to tidy up your table, use facilities, don't disappear. We're going to be having a time.
Having a time. Gary, what do I say? Let's not say anything. Here goes.